You're listening to the Snob OS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Hey, this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And welcome to the Snob OS Show, the show for Apple snobs where we talk all things Apple and then some. Welcome back, everybody, to this week's show. Thank you, as always, for continuing to listen and support the show. Speaking of the show, on this week's show, it's not a very good week for Apple, it seems. They got new price increases that are out. OpenAI is coming for all its talent. And they've even gone so far as to try to beg Trump to help them with the chip shortage. Also, Google basically cut off the GIF pipeline to everybody. So that is something. Also, Black Entertainment had its big night this past Sunday with the BET Awards. And rounding it out for the hookup, everyone is clamoring over FIFA and tickets going to the game or even to the Fan Fest. Terrance is going to tell you in the hookup how not to get scammed. Again, thank you for listening and or watching the show. You can continue to do that as well as rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Rounding it out, you can head on over to patreon.com/snobOScast to find out how you can watch the show live and get exclusive content. With all of that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into this week's show, where we always kick it off with the lowdown, where we talk all things Apple. So this is the third consecutive week that we have talked about Apple's price increase. First, it was, the chip shortage. Then it was like, it was inevitable that prices were going to go up. And Tim Cook basically warned us over the last few weeks. He was kind of warming us up for it. Now it is real and out there in the wild. Apple raised prices across Macs and iPads the end of last week, citing global RAM and storage shortages. So let's talk a little bit about these price jumps. The MacBook Air now starts at $1,299, up from $1,099. The M5 MacBook Pros jumped $300 to $1,999, so essentially $2,000. The iMac went from $1,299 to $1,499. The M3 Ultra Mac Studio, it went from basically $4,000 to $5,300. So iPhones, AirPods, Apple Watches were left out of this round of increases, but I don't think we will see the increases for the new Apple, the iPhone and the Fold or whatever until September, and I think it's probably going to be a significant increase there. We talked about this again last week, and Terrance, I think you asked me what did I think the price jump would be for people to be like, man, I'm not buying this. I said, if it goes up above $100 or $150, I think people will have a problem. And obviously, most of these prices are $200 and above. So I don't know if people are going to be with this or not. Do you think people are just going to hold on to their devices, or some people are going to be like, it's fine?
Well, let me ask you, were you saying that $150 for the iPhone, or just in general Apple prices across the spectrum?
I figured in general across the board. I figured some of the smaller products may get a smaller increase, which we've seen, but they still got an increase. But I figured, across Macs, iPads, and iPhones, anywhere between $100 and $150 would be, I thought the max, and I was kind of wrong. I was wrong.
Well, I guess the question is, like you mentioned, are people going to stop buying these products? I think we mentioned it last week. The answer is no. People are still going to buy the products, especially with back in school coming up in a month or two, depending on where you are. So those MacBooks will get sold. Those accessories will get sold. I think the question will be, and we won't find out until September, is how much people will be able or are willing to tolerate when those iPhone prices go up. I think I agree with you in that $100 is probably, people won't blink at an extra $100 on an iPhone. Now, the tech journalists will write about it, and YouTubers and streamers will scream bloody murder. But in general, I think people will eat the $100. The question is, in addition to whether or not people will eat it or not, is what's the stock price going to do, right? When Apple announced all this stuff, their stock price tanked to like 10 or 12%. As stock prices do, they go back up. So, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you are a Apple investor, you are probably looking to buy as much Apple stock as possible, because their price goes up or back to where it was prior to Apple or this news getting out. You may make a pretty penny. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't even trade heavy Apple like that, but I don't see Apple taking a huge hit in the long term. It's just when this news came out, people will say grumble, 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 and things will get back to normal. In September, when the iPhone comes out and it's $100, $125, $150 more at the max, people say grumble, 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 but we'll buy it anyway. Apple stock price will take a hit. And then come holiday season, we will have forgot all about this as far as Apple is concerned. People have been waiting on Apple, what they were going to do as far as this chip shortage. All the other companies, not all other companies, the major companies already was running up the prices for their stuff. And Apple tried to hold off as long as they possibly could. For whatever reasons, we don't know. Is it because they already had a whole bunch of profit margin built into it that they could eat it for this long? Is it that Apple, wanted to wait it out as long as possible, not to be lumped in with everybody else? The negative of that is they are now standing on an island because nobody else around them are doing it along. They did it, weeks, if not months ago. So now it looks like Apple is like, oh, now it's our turn to take advantage of the, chip shortage to raise prices and stretch their profit margin even farther. We won't know the truth until I think September, when these iPhones come out and Apple hits us with that $100, to possibly $200 price increase. Will people be upset? Yes. Will people buy the devices? Also, yes.
So you don't think the price increase is really, people will just grumble about
short term,
while they swipe the cards anyway?
Yeah. Or people will be upset, and in a week or two, like for instance, right now, everybody's talking about the World Cup. So maybe Apple slides in the fact that their prices are going up on Macs, all the things that you mentioned. People will get upset, but then like in 30 minutes, if you're listening to us live, Team USA is going to play, and then we're going to forget all about it, right? So while Apple is on an island right now, is one of the last companies to raise their prices due to this chip shortage, it'll be short-lived angst as people move on.
Interesting to see. And I will say, because I don't want people to say, you didn't tell everything. A couple of other things. The HomePod Mini went up $129.99. It's like $30. HomePod went up to $350. The iPad Air went up about $150 from $749 to $599. iPad Pro went up $200 to $1199. Vision Pro got a $200 hike as well. And even the brand new Neo that everyone was, marveling over the price of $599, it got a bump as well, up to $699. So it got $100 bump as well. So we will see if people are just going to grumble because that's what we do and still, buy the products anyway, or if people rebel and say, no, we won't do it. I guess time will tell. We'll see what the numbers look like for the end of the year, and see how Apple moves from that. So next up, OpenAI has hired Paul Mead, Apple's top executive in charge of the Vision Pro headset, And the company's still not delivered smart glasses effort. He is a vice president who spent about 15 years at Apple. And like I said, led the Vision Pro hardware engineering team for 7 of those. He joins a few other Apple alums, Johnny Ive, Evans Hankey, Tang Tan, who all are Apple alumni who are now building AI hardware over at OpenAI. So rumor has it that this Paul Mead, his departure was triggered by some internal changes with the new incoming CEO, John Terrance. And I guess that makes sense. You have a new regime coming in. They want to, move things around and move their people around. But it looks like a few people who have a lot of cachet at Apple are fleeing the ship and going over to work on hardware with Sam Altman. Is that surprising at all to you?
No, because these tech bros switch these companies between these companies all the time. Google to Facebook, Facebook to Google. Now it's just so happens that AI is a major player and these AI companies are major players. So it seems like people are leaving Apple, Google,
Amazon.
all these other Amazon, all these other places to land on what we are all deeming is the future technology, which is AI. When Tesla was up and coming, everybody's moving over to Tesla. I'm pretty sure Apple lost a couple of people on their quote unquote Project Titan, which turned out to be the Apple car. They probably left to Tesla and Rivian and Lucid and all these other places. So it's more of the same. It just so happens now everybody's leaving these companies, Apple, present company included, to go to these AI companies. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you could make something out of Apple is restructuring or reorging because of their rough start when it came to their own into AI and what is it? Adventures, but that's not ventures, just ventures. So now they're like, all right, phase 1, that didn't work. Whether or not these people who are now moving on to these companies were to blame, we'll never know. But that Apple is definitely on plan B or part 2 of their AI push. So it makes sense for people to get moved around.
Yeah. And reading a little bit more into the article, this move doesn't seem like the person wanted to leave, but basically there's a new layer in between him and the big boss. So, the feeling is he felt demoted in that sense, and that OpenAI didn't necessarily come and poach him like they've done other ones, but he was a willing participant to leave to go over to OpenAI. But I presume, especially with a lot of these tech companies, I know it's pretty standard. They have these clauses in their exit, about what they can use and what they can't, what's proprietary to the company that they were with. But at the end of the day,
Apple ain't got nothing anyway, so ain't nothing to steal or take over to a new company because they scrapped everything that they was working on. So nothing ventured, nothing gained.
That is true as well. All right. The last thing I have in the lowdown is apparently the CEO emeritus, Tim Cook, and Apple are lobbying this current administration for clearance to buy memory chips from CXMT, a Chinese company the Pentagon has placed on its Chinese military company blacklist because of alleged connections to the People's Liberation Army. Apple technically isn't banned from buying from them, But I would presume that this designation definitely causes some problems with the Department of Defense and how chummy Apple and Tim Cook have become with this administration.
Well, not just that. Apple is not prohibited, but the government is prohibited. So if the government is prohibited with doing business with them, that means Apple could lose that market. The government, I don't know, defense contractor, whatever
Buying
business
products, buying software,
whatever. Yeah, whatever deals, whatever plans, whatever agreements that Apple had with the government, if they go and buy one or partner with or buy from one of these companies that's on the naughty list, then that could affect Apple sales with the government. Now, the question is Apple willing to sacrifice that business with the government in order to get cheaper chip prices to please the consumers, right? And other corporations, not government, right? I think that's the play Apple's trying to do. They're like, look, we'll just take if it comes to that, right? If the government doesn't play ball, if this administration is asking too much of Apple in return, and Apple decides to say bump it, we're gonna go over and buy from these companies anyway, since it's not illegal. We'll just take the hit from the government losses and build that into either keeping prices the same for consumers or figure out how to, get their prices down on the chips and keep the prices high as far as the end users, which is what companies do. They'll say, oh, we got to raise prices because of the chip shortage. If they figure out a way to make the chips cheaper, Apple ain't gonna be like, oh man, we raised the prices of the MacBooks and the MacBook Airs and the iPhones $200. Since we found a new deal, we're gonna pass those savings on to you and make it back to where it was in 2026. That's not happening. So my guess is Apple is willing to take the hit on the government side in order to get the chips cheaper to increase profits and minimize overhead.
And you know what? That really sucks. It really does, because you just announced these prices, but you're trying to buy cheaper chips. You're trying to go through the government to kind of, I guess, I won't even say grease the wheels, but, kind of give them like a heads up to say, hey, we know you don't like these guys, but we're going to buy from them anyway, and we hope you're okay with it. That's kind of what I'm getting from this, because as you said, it's not illegal to buy from them. It's they're on a watch list by the DOD. So the DOD won't do business with them, but they can't really stop anybody else, especially a private company, from doing that as well. But like you said, the biggest thing is if they do get these cheaper chips. We talked about it before, the price is always passed to the consumer.
But them
that's going to be,
I said, but them savings sure ain't.
Right. And so even though with this cheaper chip manufacturer, they could probably go back down to the prices that they were. It's like, hey, we're getting people to pay $200 and $300 extra. Why would we be stupid enough to like lose money when we don't have to? Because again, like we said in the first article, people are likely still going to buy the products. They're going to complain about it. They're going to whine about it. But it's setting a new level set of the baseline of prices. And once you do that, it only goes up more and more, because then in a couple of years, it's going to be something else. Oh, we got to raise the prices because of this thing or that thing. And they go up again because they've already seen that they've jumped the prices $200 to $300, mostly across the board, and people still bought them. And that just sucks for us. So yeah, again, Apple is taking some L's this week, and they're not looking as shiny and polished. So we'll see if with the upcoming holiday, with what's going on with FIFA, if that kind of buries the lead on what's going on with them. Time will tell. We'll see. I don't know. All right, let's turn it over to Second String to talk all other tech. So as of June 30th, which is yesterday, if you're listening to the live show, Google officially shut down the public tenor API. This is the behind the scenes infrastructure that powers GIFs search across Discord, Twitter, WhatsApp, Blue Sky, and dozens of other apps. Most people don't know that Tenor is kind of the infrastructure behind it, because it's always been there. And Google acquired Tenor back in 2018 with the goal or vision of becoming the Google search of GIFs, processing over 12 billion monthly searches at a time. Now we're 8 years later, and they are locking it down to first party only, essentially meaning that Google's own apps like Gboard and Google Messages will keep full Tenor access, while everybody else got to figure out what else they're going to do. Some companies have already done that. Twitter went over to Giphy. Discord went over to Clippy. WhatsApp and Blue Sky are still scrambling to find an alternative. According to Google's official statement, they said that it was they said, quote, a part of ongoing effort to focus resources on enhancing our core products. So basically they're saying it's ours, we let you use it, but we're not going to let you use it anymore. You got to go and figure out your own thing. And it looks like that's what some of the major companies have done already, with a few on the outskirts still trying to figure out what they're going to do.
I mean, ecosystem is the ecosystem. Google is trying to figure out how they can add benefits, add bonuses, add quote unquote additional content to their subscribers, whether it be a Google Workspace or whatever the case may be. They're trying to make it what's the word? They're trying to make it
advantageous.
Yes, advantageous for people to utilize Google products. I don't think this is the biggest problem as you would assume on firsthand, because there are so many other alternatives, options out there. For instance, I use Giphy personally. When I'm dropping GIFs in group chats, I download and install Giphy as a second party keyboard. So instead of, if I don't want to use the built-in Apple images search, which Apple has its own. Apple has an image search inside of its phones Messages, and tablets and whatever the case may be. But in addition to that, you can add third-party keyboards. I use the Giphy keyboard. Never skip a beat. So if people are affected by this, it's no problem to go to something else. So maybe that's the reason why Google now is like, all right, we're cutting y'all off. We let you catch up. We let you, we let other people out, other companies out there offer something similar. Now there's enough options out there. We're lopping it off and we're saving our stuff for our customers, which, I mean, can't knock the hustle.
After all of that whining and complaining they did about RCS not being on iPhones, they are cloistering their own thing. And, these other apps and websites, they're just going to have to change APIs and get a new service. But I just thought it was interesting how they were just like, yep, it's done. Good luck. We're keeping it. But you go figure out what to do on your side.
Hey, are people really, rocking with GIFs like that anymore? They was popular back in the teens, 2010 when, social media first started. That's how we communicated via Twitter back in the day, via Facebook. Now it's just like a more of a group chat thing versus like a world. People still use GIFs all the time. Yeah. You go on Instagram and some of these other ones, but I don't know if it's popping like it used to. So maybe that's another reason why Google was like, yeah, I'm not really using these anyway. So
could be. A lot of people that I follow, probably because we're of a certain age, are still GIF heavy users. And I am quick to drop a GIF, especially in a iMessage. So that's going to wrap it up for Second String. Let's head on in for the culture. Now, I feel a certain way about award shows these days. I usually just watch them on social media, meaning I wait until someone says, "Ooh, this is this thing," or "this person has come up," and I'm like, "Ooh, let me tune in and see," or watch the videos after that. But on this past Sunday, BET did their big one with the BET Awards. A lot of things that I'm hearing from people who watched is that over the last 2 years, the BET Awards have become a lot better, and a lot of stars are coming in. For me, particularly for this one, I'm not a Drewski fan. I've seen some of his skits and they're kind of funny, but I've come to the point where, especially on like on like red carpets and stuff, they have these social media personalities who are popular online, but it doesn't necessarily translate into in-person type of interactions. So I was like, I don't know. It could be hit or miss. And from what I saw, Keke Palmer kind of came in and basically, made that point true. But some of the people that were honored, Tiana Taylor got the Icon of the Year award in addition to winning some other awards. Janet Jackson, who is like her idol, presented her with the award. And Janet Jackson will be showing up, stuff like that. So for her to show up, that was kind of a big deal. The other thing was there's a new honor called Living Legend Icon Award, and Lauryn Hill received that, and she got a huge tribute from a lot of people, including 2 of her kids, SZA, Doja Cat, Nas, Queen Latifah, who look fabulous as always, Common, Thames, and quite a few other people. And she herself ended the performance with X Factor. Little note, Jill Scott was supposed to perform X Factor, but she was on vocal rest and wasn't able to perform. Cardi B performed, Sinners won. All that to say, did you partake in the online shenanigans of the BET Awards?
No. I'm not an award show person. I do advocate for these stars and for consumers to support their own versus complaining about what's happening or what's not happening at other award shows. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty much where my support ends. I maybe my attention span is getting shorter. Just sitting through 2 or 3 hours of people getting awards is just not my. I don't watch the ESPYs. I don't watch anything awards. So it's not just I don't watch BET Awards or I don't watch the Oscars. If you are I don't even go to what do you call those things? And not just like locally, like banquets. I just can't do it. Just sitting there and listening to people dig deep to find positive things to say, throughout the course of 2 or 3 hours is just not my thing. So I'm okay with that. But like I mentioned, I would advocate if you do watch award shows and you're you want to see your favorite artists or entertainers or celebrities or whomever, if you Black like us, start with BET Awards, start with the NAACP Image Awards, start with some of these other Soul Train Awards, and then migrate over to what else everybody else is doing. That way, maybe more artists will start to come back, and maybe they're starting to happen. More people are starting to watch BET Awards. They're doing, seems like they are trying to do better in order to be more of an entertaining event. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's why some of these stars like a Lauryn Hill, like a Janet Jackson, like a Queen Latifah, some of the people we grew up on, as well as a Drewski and all the other kids that you mentioned that I have no idea who these people are. Maybe that's why they're showing up, and maybe that's why it's starting to shine a little bit. So hats off to them.
Maybe so. My thing with the award show is, especially, it's the fluff. It's like, if the skits were good, Okay, but some of them and like all of like the manufactured stuff, I'm like, it's too manufactured and it's not funny. If you're gonna, I would rather see more performances. If you're going to like do this, like if you're gonna do the Oscars or the Grammys, cut out all that BS with all of these type skits. Do performances and let people actually have time to give their speeches. They're rushing people off who won to give their speeches because they have time for all this other crap.
Nobody got time for all them speeches, man. Some people just be up there rambling, and I don't care if we got 14 hours, 60 seconds, and get your butt off the stage, man. But again, I'm not the audience, so I can't complain, right? Yeah. I will say about the skits, I think the skits will be better if the people who they wanted to do the skits are getting paid, right? If you are inviting me to the award show and you are wanting me to cooperate or participate in a skit, these are actors, these are entertainers, and they get their bread when they're acting and entertaining. If you're inviting me, yeah, you've probably flew me, you pay for my flights or accommodations or whatever the case may be. But my bread and butter is acting or entertaining, and you're telling me I got to do that for free? You're going to get mediocre. And that's what we get out of all these awards. I don't care if it's the Oscars, the Emmys, the BAFTAs, the SAGs.
They're really just so lame. I'm just like,
all the skits are just corny because the people are like, man, I'm not working. Right. You want me to get up here and work? No, thank you. I'm going to read these lines and I'm going to get off the stage. And that's what it sounds like.
And get my free publicity for being here. And thank you very much. I wish they would do something about that. But definitely congratulations to all the people who won, to all the people who showed up for the gowns and the jewels and all that stuff. It seemed like it was a good time from what I saw on social media. I did see a little bit of controversy. People were upset that Jesse Jackson didn't get a thing or, a segment. I think there were some people missing.
You talking about the memorandum? Is that what
no, there were some people. Some people were saying he should have gotten like a segment where people did stuff. Yeah. And then people were talking about how D'Angelo got a tribute, but Angie Stone didn't. They are talking about Richard Smallwood, who is iconic in the gospel community. They were saying his tribute was lacking. So, people are always going to find things. Some people are left out of the in memoriam. It's the nature of the beast. But from what I saw online, people had a good time, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, man, you can please some of the people all the time and all the people some of the time, but you're never going to please all the people all the time. So you got to take the criticism, you got to take the slander, the shade with a grain of salt, and also consider all the positives that, apparently it was a good show, so focus on the positive.
Absolutely. All right, that is going to wrap up for the culture. Let's head on into the hookup for our tech tip of the week.
Yeah, like I mentioned, FIFA is in full gear, and now we're down into the knockout rounds, meaning if you lose, you are going home. So we're at that stage in FIFA. So I imagine people are really more interested in trying to attend the events now that we're down into the round of 16 and we're getting down into the semifinals and quarterfinals, semifinals, all that stuff. So this is probably when people are like, all right, I messed around. I ain't getting no tickets for the other games. It's getting hot now, getting hot and heavy now. It's been some great games. I've been watching most of the games. The games have been great. Hey, I may want to figure out to get some tickets. So my hookup for the week is how you can avoid getting scammed if you are interested in getting tickets to attend a World Cup match. Of course, first and foremost, go to the source, go to FIFA.com. Don't be trying to be on Facebook Marketplace. Don't be trying to be on social media. Don't be trying to, wherever else you could get tickets from outside of FIFA or authorized resellers like, StubHub. Just go with them people. Don't be trying to find on FIFA tickets on Facebook Marketplace, right? Brings me to the next one. If the price looks like too good to be true, it probably is a scam. If you find somebody willing to give you FIFA tickets for anything less than $300-400, it's a scam. I was looking around, just a couple days ago. Tickets are about $600-800 for the nosebleeds. So use that as a barometer as to how much tickets cost. If you find a steal, you get 100, 200, 300, or 100, 200, well, anywhere in the stadium. If you're somebody selling tickets for anything less than $200-300, hey man, hold up. You may want to do some more research. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. If you are trying to buy tickets off of somebody and they are trying to get you to use Venmo, Cash App, wire transfers, gift cards, those are probably scams as well. Make sure you are buying from somebody, a reputable source, and also you're using a reputable form of payment. Again, I'm not saying Venmo, Cash App are not reputable, but not if you're about to drop $800-900 on some tickets, Jack. You may want to see if they're using a more official merchant in order to take your money, right? Watch for fake URLs. If you're going to FIFA.com, and somebody gives you a link to FIFA, make sure FIFA is spelled right. It may be switched around to where all they need to do is fool you just a little bit in order for you to click on this link and then, enter some fake credit card payment processing. You enter your information, credit card is gone. So
Gotcha.
look for, if anything screams, they got to tell you it's official. It probably ain't official, so look out for fake URLs, look for misspelled words and email addresses and links. Just don't click on any links. If somebody's selling you that they're saying, hey, this is Ticketmaster.com, click on this link, just go to Ticketmaster.com or just go to FIFA.com and confirm it. One of the tips that I saw is if you're going to a website and it's got all this stuff going on, turn on the reader mode for both Safari and I think Chrome has a reader mode to where it gets rid of all the ads, it gets rid of all the crap, it gets rid of all the stuff to where you can actually focus on specifically, all right, is this a good link? All right, are these good websites? Are these good images? So
using as a distraction.
Right. Because most websites nowadays, stuff everywhere, right? So that's a good tip, turn on reader mode so you can focus on what's important. Like I mentioned, you're going to drop $800-900 a ticket. I'm gonna need you to focus, right? And that's one way to do it, right? Again, never go to WhatsApp or, FIFA's not selling tickets on WhatsApp. FIFA's not selling tickets on
through text.
Yeah, through text, through Kick, Telegram, any of these places. So be wary. So that's my tip. If you are looking to buy FIFA tickets because things are getting hot and heavy with these matches, pay attention. Don't do something you wouldn't normally do because you are trying to get these tickets and you feel like there's a scarcity out there and you feel like if I don't act on this deal, I'm never going to get it again. Look, the games are just fine at your house. The games are just fine if you go to your local bar or watch party or, whatever the case may be. Trust me, it's just fine. It's once in a lifetime, but not if you're going to lose $1,200 because you just got scammed. That don't seem like a lifetime event to me, getting scammed out of $1,200.
And don't get scammed with the FIFA Fan Fest tickets as well here in Atlanta.
Okay.
They are indeed free, but they are sold out. There are some VIP options that you can pay for, but don't be buying Fan Fest tickets, the free ones, from people, and don't get scammed out of that because it's sold out for all the rest of the dates. Because I know I wanted to go down. It was like, nope, girl, all sold out. You better hope they open up some more dates. I wish I'd have went earlier, but I didn't. That's life.
But they said it ain't all of it's cracked up to be anyway. Specifically in Atlanta, the Fan Fest, they're kind of like, you're just sitting on the lawn, not really doing anything. Outside.
We're going to talk about a little bit in the snobist show, but apparently they've been concerts and a lot of people have been enjoying it in Atlanta's Fan Fest is the best out of all the cities. But again, if you're a Patreon supporter, you'll hear more about that. But if you're not, you'll miss out on that conversation. And with that being said, we're going to wrap up the show. Brother Tech, where can the people find you?
You can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And you can find me at Tech Savvy Diva everywhere. You can also find our show at SnobWestCast all over the social media outlets. You can also go to our website, which is snobwestcast.com as well, to get all the information on how to comment, how to share, how to support the show, how to comment, how to connect. You can even listen to the show on the website. All of those good things are there as well. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.